Welcome. You are listening to the podcast A Resonant Life, produced by The Time Is Now Productions. I am Mike Thompson, your host and Reflector-in-Chief. In this podcast, we will discuss experiences and insights from living a life devoted to uncovering the authentic self and finding fulfilling purpose from the past, the present, and the future. This podcast is a product of my life and experience, and I'll share my opinions. Opinions between people are various, and we don't all need to hold the same ones. But it is fun to hear the opinions of others as it gives us an opportunity to freshen up our own. If you enjoy and gain insight from listening, please subscribe and share. If you have questions, please email them. And as always, nothing you hear here is a proscription or a prescription. It is a discussion of life and life's internal and external experiences. So let's get to it. And thank you for listening today. I'm so happy you're here. Today we're going to talk about gratitude and making gratitude a daily practice, something that we work on, something that we cultivate, something that we want to create more of in our hearts and our minds and in our expressions to others. Gratitude is more than being thankful, more than giving thanks. Gratitude is something deep within us that acknowledges that we are not here by virtue of only our own selves. We have not sprung full-formed into our lives and become what we are on our own. Because we've had the help of innumerable people, circumstances, situations, and experiences that have shaped us. From a Buddhist context, you can imagine this being related to karma and the experiences of past lives and what we're bringing forward from those lives as karmic seeds mature. But rather than get into the details of that, let's instead focus upon simply cultivating gratitude in our lives, and from the baseline of realizing that we are not who we are, where we are, and what we are because of just ourselves. We are who we are because of others. And so beyond giving polite thanks and being thankful to people for their involvement in our lives and for the things they do for us, cultivating gratitude is a meditative practice and is one that can be engaged in throughout the day. It's not something you necessarily need to sit down and clear your mind and breathe for. It can be something that you are working on as you engage with others. In fact, that is the best time. So gratitude. The co-founder of Shinyo Buddhism, Shoju Shinin Tomoji, said, "Gratitude is the first step to enlightenment." There is a lot of deep meaning in these 7 words. So let's start with the first word, gratitude. So first off, what's the value of focusing on cultivating gratitude in our daily lives? Well, this podcast is about uncovering the authentic self, and in so doing, finding a life that is more full of joy, more full of contentment, more full of the ability to help others. And so to cultivate gratitude is to generate within us a power that extends beyond ourselves and that reaches out to others, and that actually becomes a force of peace in our worlds. So how do we do this? How do we get to that superpower, so to speak? One very constructive exercise is to sit down quietly and center yourself, and then to start thinking of all the people in your life who've touched your life in some way, starting with parents and grandparents, brothers, sisters, then teachers, friends, and just starting there and focusing on each individual and giving them thanks, thanking them for helping to make you who you are. And this isn't just the good things, the positive things. This includes any negativities, any frictions, any angers, any resentments. All that soup contributed to making us who we are. And so, taking a moment to feel grateful and to meditate on this. In fact, meditating on the more challenging people in our pasts, the ones that maybe we harbor resentments for or anger. These are the ones to really focus on and to find where it is that we can feel grateful for their involvement in our lives. And in doing that, you'll find that you come in face-to-face contact, so to speak, with your ego. And your ego is telling you, no, I'm right, they're wrong. No, that they hurt me. No, they're bad. But really, by breaking through that block, by opening up and accepting the other for who and what they are, and with the understanding that they did the best that they could, you're able to actually feel grateful for them in your lives. It's the hardships in our lives that make us strong. It's the hardships and the difficulties from which we learn. These are the things that move us forward. Just like the sand in the oyster that becomes a pearl. Challenges make us better, stronger people. And if we focus our hearts and minds on being grateful for those challenges and for the people who cause those challenges, then our hearts open wider, more fully, and we shed the baggage of resentments that maybe we've been carrying. We shed the emotional clutter that we talked about last podcast. We sweep it away and make space. And the space that we make is space for joy, space for contentment. We live in a world where we're encouraged to want more. And if we have lots, we're encouraged to want better versions of lots. It's sort of a never-ending cycle. And if we're always in an acquisitive state of mind, then we're always looking for something else, more, to accumulate. And that is not a mindset where we are thankful or grateful. It is not a mindset where we're necessarily thinking of others. So we have to back away from wanting and acquiring and looking inward and looking at what we have and looking at what we are and looking deeply so that we can begin to feel a sense of satisfaction in those things, in that situation, in the way of life that we have. And that becomes a seed of gratitude. And the experience of this seed of gratitude sprouting and then blossoming is one that you'll carry with you and you'll carry forward. And it will express itself in your relationships with others, especially as you become more and more able to forgive people for past hurts, and as you're able to accept people from the past, your past, our pasts, that have caused us pain. We are the sum total of all these things. And if we shift from acquiring, which is a distraction, and if we shift from feeling averse or anger or hurt, if we shift from that and look instead at what we've learned and what we've gained and who we've become, then that seed of gratitude starts to sprout in our hearts and our minds. And we feel more expansive. It's something to do. If you're talking with somebody, the best situation is a difficult one, maybe a colleague at work with whom you're not seeing eye to eye, or a family member that you're disagreeing with. And in the conversation, in the exchange, in the going back and forth between this person, if you can just keep saying in the back of your mind, ultimately in your heart, I am so grateful for you, and I am so grateful for this situation, and I am so grateful for what I'm learning here. If this is your mindset in the context, in the situation of disagreement and difficulty, your reactions will be different. And your reactions will be different because your ego isn't pushing and fighting back and asserting. Rather, you're in a state of acceptance, accepting yourself, accepting the other person. And that will also, in addition to helping you feel more content and at peace and satisfied and even joyful, most likely the situation between you will diffuse as well. If one pushes and another pushes back, that's a state of tension. If you're not pushing and the other person is pushing, they find there's nothing for them to push on. And so they back off. And maybe they take a breath and reconsider. Of course, not always. Some conflicts just don't go away. But it's worth a try. And breathing is essential, deep breathing. This is how we keep ourselves grounded and centered. When we're breathing shallowly, we're more in the fight or flight kind of state of mind, where we'll push back. We want to fight. We want to defend. We want to argue. We want to win. That's why deep breathing is a great step towards diffusing and shifting your mindset towards being grateful to the person with whom you're having challenges. So, there's a lot to work on here. And as Shoju Shinin Tomoji said, gratitude is the first step towards enlightenment. So we've talked a bit about gratitude. Let's talk about enlightenment very quickly. Rather than getting into the details of what is enlightenment, what isn't enlightenment, what is the state of mind that Shakyamuni Buddha achieved, instead of trying to understand that, which really isn't possible to understand, it's better to just think of enlightenment in our daily lives as those moments of perfect satisfaction and contentment where we are not grasping or wanting or in conflict, and where we are available to help others without condition and without distinction for the other person, whether we know them or not, whether they're a friend or an ally or an enemy or an opponent. Taking away all those distinctions and just being available. So if that's enlightenment, and gratitude is the first step towards it, then gratitude is also the second step, and the third step, and the fourth step. And the irony of this is that as we cultivate more and more gratitude in our hearts, as we find ourselves encountering situations not with anxiety or not with trepidation or fear or nervousness, but rather openly, then we are already in that state of gratitude because we're ready for whatever is coming our way. This is a state of mind where everything will seem a bit easy, even if it's difficult. So, other situations. The experience of pain, physical pain. Physical pain is something that takes over our brains, captures our minds, and it narrows how you see and experience the world down into sort of a crystalline sense of immediacy where it's you and pain, and whether or not the next move is going to increase the pain or diminish the pain or whatever. Pain becomes the focus of everything. So how do we find gratitude? How do we cultivate gratitude if pain is the sum all of our minds at any given time? I myself have dealt with several instances of pain that's just blindingly debilitating. And what I found is that, again, it was a mind hack that I started to use. A mind hack being doing something consciously with the aspiration that that conscious thing will then deepen and become an authentic state of mind. With repetition, with practice. And so every time I had a flash of pain, I would say, thank you for this. And at first that's all I could muster. Thank you for this. Thank you, body. And after some time, I was able to expand that to thank you, body, for this. And I'm not alone. Others have this pain too, and worse. The reason to go that direction with this particular mind hack is to not just cultivate a sense of gratitude, but to expand that gratitude to be compassionate, empathetic, and to broaden that viewpoint, that scope, which I mentioned was narrowed when we're in pain. And from there, it's thank you for this pain. Thank you for what it's showing me. Thank you for helping me to understand that others too feel this and have this horrible experience. And then you add, and I am so blessed that I don't have to be controlled by it, that I can expand beyond it, that I can be helpful to others despite it. So the idea is to keep expanding this sense of prayer more and more in the face of debilitating pain. And while the pain might not go away, the pain's dominance in your mind will lessen, because your authentic self, is not the pain. You are something else. You are joy and wonder that has this crust of karma and pain over it. And so, by just refocusing our minds and consciously doing exercises, so to speak, mental exercises, mind hacks, we can then change the way we interact with things that limit us, whether it's memories, people in our past, current situations, and people in our current situation with whom we're in conflict, or physical problems, pain, illness, lack of energy, fatigue, whatever it might be. The idea is to always change the focus from self to other. And in doing that, gratitude blossoms. The seeds are there. Gratitude blossoms as we walk towards enlightenment. as we walk towards a state of mind and heart and being where we are satisfied, content, and able to help others freely without condition or distinction. Whether that help is a smile, a kind word, a gesture, giving up a seat, any number of different things, from the small to the large to the giant. So gratitude is a complicated topic, but it's also a very simple topic. And we've kind of looked at it from two perspectives. One, cultivating gratitude when we're dealing with the past and memories of people and feeling grateful for them helping us to become who we are, and feeling grateful for the people in our lives, particularly those that give us challenges, that cause us distress, because that distress is something that gives us something to work on, or physical issues, pain and illness, and how we can change our minds from being dominated by that to feeling grateful. So it's a lot to take in this week, and we'll turn back to some of this stuff in future episodes. If you have any questions, I would love to hear them. If you want any follow-up, I would also love to do that. Please email me at Mike, M-I-K-E, at resonant.social, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And as always, if this podcast is helping you, or if you're enjoying it, or if you're getting anything good out of it at all, please share it with your friends. Please subscribe and encourage them to do so as well. We want to grow the circle of a resonant life and grow the possibility of being creators of peace and happiness in this world that we all share together. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.